number 9. This is an important one. The last two are very, very important. I mean, they're all fucking important, to be honest, guys. These are all extremely important. I couldn't put this video out without mentioning at least one of these. And by the way, there's 100 more principles that I have written down and I will put out through content in the future. But these are just 10 that are extremely important. All of those are important as well, but they're more specific to MMA betting. How to pick an underdog, how to bet parlays, right? They're very like specific. How to live bet, you know, they're very specific things. There is also lots of general stuff as well, but this is the most general points that I could think of that are extremely important in MMA. So if you want the other 100 points very specific on how to make money in MMA betting specifically, then just follow me along, hit my Telegram link, just t.me/lucrative tips. Join my Telegram group. I'll put out tons of content through there in the future. But we'll get on to number 9 now, which is there's many ways to skin a cat, right? So there's many ways to skin a cat. And if you don't know what that means, it's just a saying that means like there's many ways to do one thing. So there's not only one way to do one thing. And this is something that you'll see heavily in the MMA betting space, in the sports betting space. People say that there's only one way to do something, right? When I first came into gambling, everybody told me, you know, 15 years ago, people were telling me that, not 15 years ago, because I was just acting like an idiot then and didn't have certain people around me, but throughout the years, people have told me that parlay betting is bad. Don't parlay is stupid, right? I have been profitable for about 7 years now on MMA. I've been profitable for 7 years, probably more than that. I'd have to do the maths exactly, but around 7-8 years I've been profitable. Every single year I've been profitable on parlays. Every single year. And it's actually my best performing metric. So people will say, you know, people in denial, the old fogies in denial will say that it's variance. I've got good variance for 8 years. But that's not the case. We know that. We're not stupid, right? That's an example of something that people stick to, say that it's gospel, and don't understand that there are many ways to skin a cat. I can't speak about other sports, right? Because I'm not fully in depth on other sports. I've bet on other sports. I make money on other sports. I bet on a lot of other sports these days. I think it's the natural progression for any sports bet. You get really good in one market and your network expands and you start betting on all sports. I'm betting on many, many sports these days. But my expertise come in MMA betting, so I would only ever speak with confidence about MMA betting, at least at this point in my career, right? And what I can tell you is that there's many ways to skin a cat. There's not one way to bet. You shouldn't only bet underdogs. You shouldn't always avoid betting on women's MMA. You shouldn't always avoid laying big chalk, -300. There's many, many ways to skin a cat, guys. There's lots of contradictory information that you'll come across when you're betting on MMA and when you're searching for gambling content. And it can be very overwhelming. But the most important thing that you can do is not stick to one rigid, one-size-fits-all approach for every sports bettor. Oh, you know, you can never trust that fighter. You can never bet on that type of... There's many, many different ways you can bet. There's many, many different ways you can make betting work for you. I know some people who bet on strictly underdogs. They never bet on anything else and they cash big time all the time. I know people who basically never bet an underdog and they've got tons of money from sports betting. There's many, many different ways, right? Now, the caveat, as always caveats, right, in this game, there are universal truths, right? Like all of the rules I've told you here. You can't argue with them, they're unarguable, right? The rules that I've told you today are not arguable. So there is one size fits all in terms of the rules I've told you. But there's no one way to do something, right? There's no one process. There's no one way of betting. And as long as you don't have this outlook on life or on MMA betting, like there's only one way to do it, then you will be way more profitable. Because if I listened to this one size fits all approach, I would have never been I wouldn't have been half the better I am, because I wouldn't have took the risk I would have, because I wouldn't have believed that it could work, right? So we always have to keep an adaptive mind. Edges disappear in gambling all the time, right? So if you have a rigid one size fits all approach, well then you're going to miss out on tons of edges that appear. There's many ways to skin a cat, boys, so don't shame anyone for betting one way. Don't think that your way is the best way over every other way. I mean, you can think that, but don't speak like an arsehole about it, right? There's many, many different ways to bet, guys.